When I'm struggling for a story, what I do, I'll look at the usual suspects. Brand new, 30th of the 9th in the morning, used on the afternoon, pre-registered, advertised used in the afternoon of the 30th of the 9th with £5,600 off. October the 3rd, Colin Walker from the ECU, and here it goes. An awful lot of the debate around electric vehicles does seem to boil down to people who've never owned an EV telling EV owners what it's like to own an EV. Well, you see, that to me that sounds a lot like somebody who's trying to tell the motor trade what to do when he hasn't been in it. Doesn't it to you? Doesn't that smack of hypocrisy to you? Because it does to me. EU should scrap ban on new combustion engine sales. With China racing ahead, I'm not sure how delaying the shift to EVs rather than accelerating it will help Germany's ailing car industry. He hasn't got a clue, has he? He hasn't got a clue. VW, Skoda, Cupra, Peugeot, they're cutting shifts at the factory, but VW are putting extra shifts on at their ICE car factory because they're not selling enough EVs, but they're selling more ICE. So they're increasing production. Porsche and Bentley have U-turned. Mercedes saying they've revisited their plans. But there you go. He thinks. So today, Colin Walker. List price confusion hides the truth about EV costs. Now, he thinks this is a plus, but what he's actually demonstrating to people is all the stuff that him and the Climate Intelligence Unit have said about buying an EV and it'll save you £1,500 a year on running costs. This blows his own statement out the water. New cars never get sold for their list price, recommended retail price. Yet reporting that compares the recommended retail price of an EV with a petrol hides the reality that price parity between the two is much closer than people realise. Do you know why the price parity is much lower? Because they are selling EVs at less than it costs them to produce, because they're targeted, and if they don't sell enough, they'll get fined £12,000 for each EV they fall short of the target. It's cheaper to sell them at £5,000 less and give them away than not sell it and give the government £12,000. Let's go into the story. So, list price confusion hides the truth about EV costs. So we'll go here, because it's not just list price. Oh, it's Steve Fowler. Steve Fowler, electric vehicle editor. Let's just have a look what Steve is and who he is and what he does. Steve Fowler, Car and Tech Journal. Apparently just a fat Piers Morgan. He doesn't look like Piers Morgan. Co-founder Carblar, EV editor at Independent. Former editor of Auto Express, Autocar and What Car. Media personality, Carblar.com. RRP comparisons risk misleading drivers as new evidence shows EVs are already at cost parity with petrol. So his evidence, which he thinks is good, shows that the only way they can sell EVs is by giving them away at less than the cost, basically, at less than a petrol or the same as a petrol, because if they didn't have price parity, they wouldn't sell them. They're still struggling. They're still struggling, and they cost the same price as a petrol. They still can't sell them. A growing body of evidence suggests that electric vehicles, EVs, are already far closer to cost parity with petrol and diesel models than many reports would have you believe. But confusion around list prices risks holding back the shift to cleaner, more affordable transport according to car industry experts. Who's it according to? Which experts? Where's your working out? Where's the evidence? Where's this growing body of evidence? Let's see it. The problem is that the use of headline recommended retail price, RRP, figures to compare petrol and electric cars, RRP ignores discounting, something that has long been part of the petrol and diesel market, and overlooks the fact that EVs tend to come far better equipped than their combustion engine counterparts. Well, no, it doesn't, does it? I mean, how does it when, as he previously said, there's a price parity? What's a price parity with? Inferior vehicles. What equipment have electric cars got that petrol and diesel cars haven't got? A load of battery monitors. Because you've got everything else, haven't they? You've got everything else you need. And overlooks the fact that EVs tend to come far better equipped than their combustion engine counterparts, where petrol cars are still often offered in stripped back base trims designed to hit a marketing price point. EVs are usually richer in specification from the start. So usually, not always, usually. That means features such as connectivity, advanced driver assistance, performance upgrades and over-the-air software updates are standard on many EVs. Performance upgrades and over-the-air software updates are standard on many EVs, whereas they remain expensive extras or simply unavailable on ICE cars. Rubbish. What stripped back ICE cars can you think of? To get a price point, let's just have a look. Let's go back again. Where petrol cars are still often offered in stripped back base trims designed to hit a marketing price point, EVs are usually richer in specification from the start. Okay. Who springs to mind when you think of stripped back vehicles? Now, I've not looked at this before, I promise you. So I've gone to Dacia here. Save £1,345, reduced from £18,295 to £16,950. Dacia Spring, brand new, special offer. That's only £14,995, but got £2,961 off it. So that's cheaper, and it's got double the discount. So surely the Spring is more stripped back than the Stepway. But yet it's got more discount. Dacia Duster Hybrid, £500 off. Again, another hybrid, £500 off. That's £27,000. Bigster, £950 off. That's £25,765. Stepway, £275 off. Duster, £500 off. Jogger, £1,000 off. I mean, from memory, the old Top Gears, James Bay, Dacia Sandero.
But you haven't got the little sort of side joke, have you?
What?
Well, you can't take it back hand luggage.
I'll drive it back.
Well, all the way?
Yeah.
Took 2.5 days to get here in the end.
No! You just backed straight into it, man.
Well, why did you leave it parked behind the lorry?
God, I didn't know there was anybody in it. I've only had it about half an hour.
Yeah. You used it for work and everything, wouldn't you?
Why don't you go away?
Would have been your everyday car.
So here we go, we'll look at those, look. £416 off, £615 off. I think that's about as stripped back as you can get. £470 off, £500 off, £500 off, £866 off, £370 off, and all the rest are advertised brand new at list prices. Now we'll go to Dacia's electric vehicle. Electric. Dacia Spring, £3,200 off. So what's that? 8 times the discount of the other ones, 3,865 off. You'll notice something funny there. Can you see it? 13th of the 9th, 2025. We'll just go to shit. Alright, so won't let me do the most recent. So I'll show you what you do in order to get the most recent on new cars on Autotrader without just putting the code in at the end, which you can do. I'll just show you. If you look up there, it says sort equals relevance and year. So if I go here and I put year, and then I just put any, well now then, look at this. These have been supposedly registered. £5,600 off. £15,995. It's done 10 miles, 2025 on a 75. We'll have a look. Delivery mileage ready to go. Registered the 30th of September 2025. You know, EV sales, they've had a great September. Well, it's looking like it's cost them a fortune to have a great September. Are there any more EVs that are more stripped back than that? Yeah, my Citroen Ami. Perfect. Stripped back as you can possibly get. Where petrol cars are still often offered in stripped back base trims designed to hit a marketing price point, EVs are usually richer in specification from the start. That means features such as connectivity, advanced driver assistance, performance upgrades and over-the-air software updates are standard on many EVs, whereas there remain expensive extras or simply unavailable on ICE cars. Well, I think you can see there, Steve, that the Dacia Duster, which is pretty well stripped back, doesn't fare well when it comes to discounting. A third off. Registered 3 days ago as brand new, so it was a new sale. Today, the 6th of October, I think we are. 7th of October. It's how much less? £5,600 less. So then, let's see, the problem is, we've gone through that, and then it comes on to Tanya. And now I've heard this name quite a few times over the last couple of days. She seems to be getting around, and the electric vehicle people are bulling her up. I don't know her. However, Tanya Sinclair, CEO of Electric Vehicles UK. Electric Vehicles UK. Who are we? Dan Cesar, Claire Slavin, Charlotte Sheffield, Ben Kilby, Tanya Sinclair, Head of Public Affairs. Experts: Ellis Barrie, Imogen Bogle, Dan Cesar, Paul Clark, James Court, John T. Dealey Williamson, Fiona Howarth, Michael Hurwitz, Lorna McAteer, Ben Nelms, Dr. Andy Palmer, Vicky Reid, Melanie Shufflebotham, Colin Walker, Quentin Wilson. To request an expert spokesperson for TV, radio, news, etc., please email evmouthpieces@electricvehicles.co.uk. EV drivers, join the Stop Burning Stuff Patreon. Paid and free memberships available to talk to EV drivers and discuss the lived experience of driving electric. So you've got to pay to talk to EV drivers. They must be so rare, mustn't they? EV industry partners. See founding and supporting partners. Our mission. Now listen to this. This is a mission statement. To drive demand for battery electric vehicles in the UK by coordinating the industry's voice and giving consumers the trusted facts they need to make the switch with confidence. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't trust you. I just don't trust you. Our vision: to influence policymakers, press and potential purchasers through end user targeted programs including test drives, data-driven insight, communication strategy and stakeholder activity. So that's Tanya. Tanya Sinclair, CEO. Does that mean they've got rid of Dan Cesar as CEO? Of course, to be honest, I'm not surprised. He was not suited for that job. I've seen a few replies by him to people on either the website or on Twitter. I've thought to myself, wow, when you're trying to persuade people to buy electric cars and you speak to people like that, you're kind of defeating the object. This was the first tweet that brought him to my attention. Diane Marchant: the EVs are so heavily subsidised, I am unclear how they want the government to promote these vehicles more. The market didn't choose this, it was forced. Ford have said without tax breaks they can't sell their EVs. Weird her. Everything electric. I'm afraid, Diane, you've believed things you've read which have no relationship with reality of what's actually happening in the market. Follow Colin Walker for the truth. I'd have to strongly disagree with just about everything there. I think Diane is more on point than the person from Everything Electric is. And then the next thing I saw, this reporter, Madeline Ross: have you bought an electric car and regretted it? Email us at money@telegraph.co.uk. Now at the top here, you know what to do. You know what to do. Of course, he started getting replies from all the sycophants that follow this site. I've done it, done, replied. And of course, all the replies were stupid EV positive comments that weren't going to help. I regretted not buying mine sooner. That's everything they say. So basically, they've called Everything Electric, in my opinion, have called for a pile-on here to spoil this woman reporter, this lady reporter's survey and story. That's exactly what they were doing. So I replied, you know what to do? Well, tell the truth would be good for a start, and let the people who have bought an EV and regretted it tell their story. There are plenty, but every time they say anything, your lot shout them down and imply they need educating or there is something wrong with them. Why not try and help? Then and only then will we find out the real problems with EV adoption. without you stirring up your EV sycophants and getting their panties in a bunch. I've got news for you. They ain't ideal for everyone. Otherwise, they wouldn't have to discount them to a level where they are a no-brainer. They should be sold on merit or they will keep tanking. So then he started on me. Did we tell those that have had a bad experience not to speak? A bit transparent, Barrie, putting words in our mouth, as even you might admit the negative publicity around EVs is wildly disproportionate to the reality of drivers' lived experience, as shown in this and every other survey. A survey of people who have EVs and follow an EV website. That's bound to be accurate, not. And if it's transparency you want, then you wouldn't have mentioned it in your timeline. As usual, you try to create a pile-on to either discredit the writer or muddy the waters. I'm pretty sure that people who have had negative experiences and blown a fortune will not be following your site unless they are masochists. You are part of the problem. You just either don't realise it or don't care. He didn't include me in this one, but he put, someone explained to Barrie how it's not possible to ask those with no lived experience of driving an EV for their lived experience of driving an EV. What a condescending twat. So I've replied, someone explained to whoever this anonymous writer is that people who have had lived experience with an EV and realise that they cannot actually live with it, so they sell it, do not want to keep reading your endless and unhelpful buyer's remorse creating propaganda. So if they were following you, they won't be any longer. But good to see you trying the same tactics with me. Create a pile-on. Bring it on. He was trying to get all the sycophants to have a go at me on Twitter. And a few of them tried. A few of them got shot down and went off with the tail between the legs and deleted the tweets because I made them look stupid. After that, Barrie's throwing his toys out of his pram with love from Dan Cesar and the team. So we now know who was writing the tweets. It was Dan Cesar. Still hadn't got a clue who he was. No idea. Wouldn't know him if I fell over him. Really? Toys out of the pram? Is that all you have? You speak for every EV owner and the team too. Beware the ice of March, Dan. So then we got, oh dear. And this, everything I don't like is woke. A book for basic dickheads. Would you be expecting that off a responsible person who's trying to promote EVs? Oh dear indeed. Happiest times of my childhood spent tinkering about in the garage helping my dad. And you lot will never get to do that. Another one of the many reasons I feel sorry for you. Also, do you think you're the right person to be answering the tweets? I'm not sure you have the right attitude if I'm honest. I'll have strong words with the CEO. Dan was the CEO. Now they seem to change the name and move backwards and forwards from the full of shit show to everything electric, so I don't know who they are now. So I don't know whether he's been replaced by Tanya as CEO. I never like to see anybody lose a job, but I don't like to see condescending twats in charge either. So there you go. He'd got a mouth on him, and he was creating, in my opinion, a bigger divide between people who were on the fence about EVs with his answers, the way he talks to people, talks down to them. Typical, this is what I found typical anyway, of these EV mouthpieces. If you don't want to use the same vehicle propulsion system as they use, you need educating, you're stupid, you're a Luddite, and all the other stuff that they come out with, all the other endearing stuff that they come out with. Let's see what she has to say. We have a responsibility to communicate entirely and clearly about products and services. Comparing an entry-level ICE car with an EV that includes thousands of pounds worth of advanced tech does not tell drivers the whole story about the vehicles they are comparing. It's a distortion that does consumers no favours. EVs are the cutting edge of advanced technology and extremely good value for money in terms of space, performance and features. We should all be setting out their pound for pound merits at every possible opportunity. That's kind of features and benefits when you're selling. You find out what the customer's looking for and then you give them a structured presentation of how this car meets their needs and what they're looking for. If they're looking to put a time bomb up the drive while the family's asleep, hey, come this way. Have I got the car for you? When you look model for model, a very different picture emerges. Renault's Austral versus the all-electric Scenic, Volkswagen Tiguan against the ID4, Golf against the ID3, Nissan Qashqai against the Ariya, or Kia Sportage versus the EV5. Each comparison shows that EVs typically deliver more space, performance and features, while lifetime running costs come in similar or even lower. No, they don't. They only come in similar or lower to a specific group of EV drivers. Not all of them. Battery costs, once the single biggest obstacle to parity, are tumbling in parts of China. Just parts of China, they're not all of China. Not just in China they're tumbling, in parts of China. Which parts? Which factories? Why? Is it because it's old technology and it's been replaced by new technology? Is it because nobody wants them like EVs? So therefore they have to cut the prices in order to make them financially wantable. Stick with me, I'll teach you new words. Packs are already being produced for well under $100 per kilowatt hour, with global forecasts pointing towards around $60 per kilowatt hour as early as 2026. At the same time, ICE technology is becoming more expensive thanks to increasingly strict emissions regulation. That means in many segments, parity is not a distant promise, it's already here. Dr. Andy Pandy, founder and CEO of Palmer Energy Technology Limited, was one of the first to see the potential. In 2008, when we developed the Nissan Leaf, price parity with ICE was only a dream, he said. Batteries then cost $1,000 per kilowatt hour. Today, at around $60 per kilowatt hour, parity isn't a hope, it's a reality. Adding the lower running costs and the economic case for EVs is now undeniable. Right, okay. In parts of China, packs are already being produced for well under $100 per kilowatt hour, with global forecasts pointing towards around $60 per kilowatt hour as early as 2026. At the same time, ICE technology as early as 2026. So here, Andy has jumped in his DeLorean and gone into the future because the two people from the same place, the batteries are two different prices. Honestly, none of them can agree. It's the same with how many miles does an EV have to do before it becomes carbon neutral with an ICE car, which is cleaner to produce. None of them know. None of them have got a clue. They all sing from a different hymn sheet. I'm embarrassed for them. Do you know what I do? The first thing I do if I was in charge of making EVs popular, the first thing I'd do is call them all together and give them a questionnaire. How much do you think a battery is now? How many miles does it need to? And then see where they need educating, because they think they can educate us and tell us that we should buy an electric vehicle. They want to give us the knowledge. They haven't got a fucking clue. And the worst thing about it is, well, let me use a quote out of Point Break.
You know nothing. In fact, you know less than nothing. If you even knew that you knew nothing, that'd be something, but you don't.
If they knew nothing, that'd be something. But they don't. Garbage. Garbage. Embarrassing. Our transaction price data shows the real story. The median discount on petrol and diesel cars is already over 10%, £4,134. And on EVs, it's nearly 12%, £5,840. Yeah, that's on new ones. I'm going to leave you with this thought. What is it on new EVs that were new yesterday morning and then yesterday afternoon the same vehicles had been pre-registered, did not move from where they were sat in the morning, they're still there in the afternoon, but in the afternoon they're thousands of pounds cheaper because they've been pre-registered and advertised as used on Autotrader. All this is bullshit. I came out of the hospital yesterday promising myself that I would be nicer to people. Less than 24 hours later, it's proving difficult for me to keep that promise to myself. Brand new, 30th of the 9th in the morning, used on the afternoon, pre-registered, advertised used, in the afternoon of the 30th of the 9th, with £5,600 off. Ah, dear me, where's my calculator? So we're clear, account clear. 5600 divided by 15,995% equals 35% off. %35 off. So where you'd just got a discount on the new car, and this expert is probably correct. ICE vehicles, 10% discount. EVs, it's nearly 12%. But that's not how they do it. They pre-register them and then they're a used car. So then the discount isn't showed on stupid websites like this, on stupid expert websites like this, because it goes into the used market. But do you know what it does then? It devalues all the used vehicles underneath it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.